Hello, I'm your host, Rachel Monica, and welcome to the Becoming Rich podcast. This is the third episode. How exciting! We are missing a guest today. If you notice, if you're watching the video, Bobby Chulo is not here, unfortunately. We're not actually allowed to have pets in the space. I'm just not trying to get in more trouble than I already am because I hosted an event here. Yeah, we had a little bit of a problem, but all is still well, I think. I think they still love me, and so we're not going to get fined. Everything is okay. Obviously, you can tell by the title of what this episode is going to be about. No, this is not a hating men episode. This is not about hating men. This is nothing about women being better than men. This is just about centering your life around yourself, whoever you are, whatever your gender is. To me, it's specifically towards men because that is my journey, but however you want to relate to it yourself, it's just about centering your life around yourself and not towards anyone else. Oh, you know what I noticed from the video too? I love using my hands. I'm Italian, so I feel like maybe that's why. I'm gonna be getting like a mic, like a stand-up mic. I just first I wanted the feel of holding a microphone because it's just giving pop star. I feel like it's like my singing mic, but I feel like a standing mic would just look super professional. So we'll see. Maybe I'll do that. Now that we got that out of the way, like many of us, I grew up in a society and culture that told me I would not find success and happiness until I found my Prince Charming, right? I'm a raggedy old woman with raggedy clothes, with nothing to live for until I find my glass slipper that fits. It's in all of the Disney movies. Isn't Snow White dead until she meets a man? Like her Sleeping Beauty, she's not even coherent until she finds her man. This is the foundation of what we were raised in. It's all ha 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 fun and jokes, but the pressure that women have to get married and be with a man is intense. Any belief that you have, you can find a million reasons to validate it. So with this belief, we got biological clock. So we're told, oh, we can only have kids till a certain time. You can't have kids, later in life. You have to get married so that you can have kids before you're 30. But then also in our generations before us, they have been getting married a lot earlier. Like there was child brides were accepted, but also we weren't living as long. We were just in survival mode. We didn't really have any options. First of all, women didn't have any options. We couldn't have a credit card. We couldn't have our own bank account. We couldn't have our own job. We actually needed a man in order to live. So imagine that as a woman, generations, of course, we're still programmed with that same belief that we need to have a man. It's almost ingrained in us at this point. So not only do we feel like we need to have kids at a certain time, but regardless of that, we actually need a man in order to live, or else we can't survive. We went from being owned by our fathers to directly, literally, the whole scene behind getting married of how your dad walks you down the aisle and hands you off to your husband. That's symbolic. That's real. That was created because we were legitimately owned from our fathers. That's why we have their last names. And we are passed on to another man who is then going to take care of us. We were only looked at as property. We were literally just property being sold from one family to the next. Still don't have our own last names. So it's obviously very understandable that you have this belief, right? This is generations after generations. It is 2024. We don't need to be living under those same rules that we've lived under for generations and generations. Obviously, there are hierarchies in privilege. I mean, in now day and age, we do have a lot of opportunities, and whatever kind of life that we want to live, we have the choices to do that if that's what we want. When the biological clock thing, I had just seen a study that apparently In your 30s, you're actually more likely, if you were to have kids in your 30s, you're more likely to live a longer and happier life. Now, a lot of these studies are because women are deciding to have kids later in life when they're financially and emotionally a little bit more equipped to have kids. We had kids out of instinct, and there was no thought process behind what it actually takes to have a kid and raise a human being. I want my kid to have the absolute best life. And obviously, I know that majority of parents, that's what they want. But if you're not healing yourself and you're not doing all of the internal work before you have a kid, you are dumping all of your generational traumas, all of your unhealed shit onto them that they're now going to carry on unless they learn to heal it and break that generational curse. It is 2024 and we are breaking generational curses now. Wait, pause. I'm in editing right now. I didn't mean curse. It's definitely not a curse. Well, kind of, I guess, but no, generational trauma is what I meant. Thank you very much. We're not letting things pass on and leak on to the future generation. Now taking the responsibility to stop it here. It stops here. We're not doing the same old shit we've been doing for years. Like, if it worked for them, it worked for them, but it's not working anymore. So going forward, we're shifting. I think I understand the whole kid concept a lot more now because I've always wanted to have kids, but now that I've actually been forced, because it never really happened for me, to force to like spend all this time in solitude and go through my healing journey, I now realize just how lucky and how perfect everything planned out because it's so important to me to raise my kid in a certain way. I can't imagine raising a kid 5 years ago. Like, I can't imagine. Like, I wasn't emotionally, mentally ready. I wasn't emotionally mature enough to do that. And that was never really a conversation back then. It's like, oh, like you got married, oh, you're having a kid, of course, like common sense. It's like, if you have enough money, then I mean, some people don't even do it if they have enough money, but let's say you have enough money, it's like, okay, yeah, go ahead. No one's actually thinking like, where are you at? Like, can you take care of yourself, let alone another kid? And we're talking about their emotional needs. Like, you have a temper and you can't control your own emotional outburst, that you're slapping your kid left and right because that's the way that you were raised. So you just think that that's what you're supposed to do. You just give them a little smack and you think that that's going to be like the best way to raise your kid. And it's like, what do you think that you're teaching them? You're literally teaching them to, I mean, obviously not how to process their emotions, obviously not how to handle their own emotional outburst. No, you're teaching them exactly what they're going to start doing. They're going to start doing the same thing. If they get angry, they're going to yell, they're going to hit, they're going to throw, they're going to repeat and do everything that you're doing. That is exactly what you're teaching them. Healing myself and then making sure that I pass on a healthier version of me, pretty much is what it is, right? I've always wanted kids. I've always thought that that was my destiny, was to be a mother. And because I have a mother instinct, I have that like instinct in me, like that nurturing. I'm so good with kids. I've always been really good with kids. I have like a weird obsession with pregnancy. Everything to do with pregnancy, I'm just like obsessed with. Like, I can't wait to be pregnant. I can't wait to like actually give birth. Like, I love every part of it. Even if it's, I feel like people that have bad experiences are like, just wait till you're pregnant. But anywho, because I wanted that so much and I love that, and I also didn't believe that I was able to live the life that I wanted without doing that, without having a man, my whole focus was on having a man so that he can give me that life. I just like didn't think about myself at all, and I didn't think about my own life and what I could potentially have for myself if I put the focus on me. My only goal was to have a relationship, especially at a certain time, because I'm afraid of other people's judgments and what they're going to think of me if I'm not in a relationship at a certain age. And I think a lot of us women feel that way. I literally felt old when I turned 24, and I panicked the whole time because I was not in a relationship. When you have this desperation for a partner, you are going to settle for anything. Your standards just go so low because you just want some kind of male validation. You're now accepting poor behavior and not actually what your dream is. What kind of relationship do you actually want? Do you actually put any energy in the specific kind of relationship that you want? Or do you just want this image of having a family and having a man by your side that like looks good in photos and looks good online to everyone else? Like, who are you living for? Are you living for everyone else, or are you living for yourself? How it feels, how you want them to elevate your life and how you want to contribute to their life. Like, what are you actually wanting for yourself? I always looked at singlehood as being like a waiting period until I had a man and had a family, and that's when life would actually start. And I actually watched a TikTok of this girl basically saying explaining how she felt the exact same way when she was single in her 20s, and she just thought, life doesn't start until I have a family, until I have kids and I get married. And so she eventually had done all those things. Her whole life was just about her kids and about her husband, and she never had had that time to herself to really enjoy it. And now she looks back on like girls right now on TikTok who are just traveling, like solo traveling and hanging out with their girlfriends and having all this like me self care time, like just having your own hobbies. And she just is seeing all of this and wishing that she had enjoyed her single life a lot more. And that really hit me because that's exactly how I felt. I thought that life was just a waiting period until I had a man and had kids. That's when my life would actually start. But then who am I? I'm just here to create life for someone else and raise them. That's what the point of life is for me. Like what is my identity? Who am I as a person? What do I want to create in my life for me? That desperation for a man causes you to settle for anything and just wait to be saved. That's just like you have to remember you're your own human being and no one is going to save you except for yourself. Everyone's journey is different. So I used to hate when I was single that people would say, "Oh, you have to find happiness alone. Like you have to find happiness alone and that's when it'll come to you. Like when you least expect it, blah blah blah." Listen, that's not the recipe for every single person. Everyone is different. There's people that get married to their high school sweethearts and have only been with each other and are genuinely happy for the rest of their lives. There's people that never spend much time alone, but they learn all of their lessons through their relationship and they actually don't need that time in solitude. They're happy being with a partner and that is just what works for them. Someone like me, I needed to spend time alone to really get to this place of complete happiness before getting into a relationship, because this is the way that I personally needed to learn and needed to grow. It's hard to get into a comparison game when you see women that are, having kids at 24, 22, like 28, and then I'm 30 and I haven't gone through those experiences yet. But that is their journey and my journey is different. It's not to say that one is better than the other, but your journey is for you. There's no reason to compare. And it all ends up, even if it doesn't make sense to you in the moment, it all ends up making sense in the end. Like I truly, genuinely believe that everything is in place for a reason and it is all working out in the best case scenario to help teach you, help you grow, help you learn everything that you need to learn. Hopefully, if you're open to it, because really what it is you're going to continue to repeat patterns over and over and over again until you decide to change and evolve. If that's what is going on in your life, then it's going to be a cycle over and over and over again. And if you pay attention to your life, you pay attention to the relationships that you have and the experiences that you're experiencing, if you are going through the same thing over and over again, you need to break that in order to release and then go on to the next thing. And then you won't experience those things over and over again. From a girl that centered her entire life around needing a man, now centering it around myself, I want to share what I've done to finally get to this place because if you were someone that was so desperate for a man, like that was me. I mean, I thought that I wasn't though. Like you might be watching this and you're like, I'm not desperate for a man. I just want one. And it's natural to like want companionship, of course, but if it's not working for you, if you're repeating ugly patterns and you're not happy and you're revolving your entire life on it, these are the steps on what I did to decenter my life from men. So the first step was cutting off all attachments, completely coming into solitude and having a cleanse of men was the first step. Now, that was pretty hard because you know, I had attachments. Like I had some deep attachments that lasted like years with certain individuals. So it did take a while, it was a lot of, going back. Want to keep them around because you're like, oh, it's not that bad. Like, whatever, it's worth it. Like, a girl has needs, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, I completely understand that. But you have no idea how much you're actually influenced by that person and letting them in your life. Obviously, being intimate, you are taking a part of them with you. When they are releasing their traumas, their struggles, their challenges. They're releasing everything that they're going through into you. You're taking that on. So also have that in mind that you're going to start carrying other people's baggage that has nothing to do with you. So being very consciously aware of who you're allowing in your space and inside of you is very important to how your life is going to be. And it also takes 1 full year to completely clear out other people's energy from you. Okay? So if you've hooked up with someone like 6 months ago, like they're still lingering around inside of you. You're still dealing with their energy. It took me a while, but when I moved to Burlington, it became a lot easier because I was so far away from them. And so it was pretty easy. Like I honestly like went into solitude. Like I just was in my little bubble in Burlington, and this is when I was like really focusing on like my personal healing, and I was just like not going out anymore. I was just like always at home, which was what I needed at the time. Obviously, like I went on a few dates here and there, but like it wasn't anything substantial. I wasn't interested afterwards. Like nothing really like happened. So I've pretty much been very to myself for 2 years now, which is like pretty crazy. Like coming from a Scorpio, like you guys, this is an achievement. Okay, round of applause for me, honestly, because if you know me, I was boy crazy, and now I am not boy crazy. I am Rachel crazy. Oh, cute. Number two, once you have cut off these ties and attachments, number two is expecting any man at any outing. Anywhere that I would be going with my girlfriends, I would be expecting myself to run into my dream man. Like, this would be the time that I would meet my husband. Like, this would be the time. The problem with that is, like, it's good to be open and it's good to, like, go to places and be in spaces where the opportunities can be there. Of course, you want to stay open and you want to be, around that kind of energy if that's what you want to bring into your life, 100%. But to be going with the expectation that you have to meet someone, and if you don't, you're going to go home and be disappointed and upset and it was a waste of time, that's when you have a problem. And that's what I was doing for a long time. Like when I went into solitude, and every time I would go out and I would go somewhere out in Toronto, I would go for drinks, I would go for dinner, I would come home and be upset. And I felt like it was a waste of my time because I didn't meet any cute guys that night. Again, that is still me centering my life around men in a small way, but I still am. Number three, it's going to help you for number two and number one. So, number three is letting go of the fear and trusting that it is all going to work out for you and you are going to meet your man and you're going to have everything that you want. Trusting that that's going to happen. Because if you don't have trust, that's why we have this panic in our 20s that, oh my God, like I need to find someone, I need to go on dates, I need to have a man, da, da, da. Like, why are you panicking about it? You're panicking because you think that you're not going to meet someone. You think that you're going to end up alone in a shoe, like a woman in a shoe. What is that saying? But that's not like, or you're going to be alone with cats. Like, listen, we've demonized this whole idea of like a woman being alone. A woman being alone is top tier. Single women without kids are proven to be the happiest. That's proven. Statistics and science said it. So, what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of from being alone? It's the lies that everyone told us that we are supposed to be, in a corner crying with a bunch of cats, desperate, wanting a man. Like, it's this idea that, yeah, we're supposed to revolve our lives around men. Oh my God, it's so exhausting. Like, I could just give a fuck at this point, to be honest. Like, when people are like, oh, like, when are you gonna have a man? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, I will when I will. I don't know what to tell you. Like, what am I supposed to say? Oh, you should try. Da, da, da. I'm not trying. Why do I have to try? Like, a woman isn't supposed to try. The man is supposed to be the one that's like seeking. He's the one that's looking and finding and searching. A woman just sits back on her throne and she receives. I don't know. I've just heard it so many times throughout my life of like, oh, I should do this and I should do that. Like everyone knows better than me. Like, listen, it's going to happen when it's going to happen. I have certain standards, and people would be like, oh, like you're too picky, blah, blah, blah. What does that mean to be too picky? I don't think that being picky is a bad thing. I think being picky is having standards for yourself. Like, I want my man to look a certain way. I want him to act a certain way. I want him to treat me a certain way. I want him to have certain things personally. And obviously, like I have my list, but it doesn't mean that, if someone is really kind to me and it's not every single thing on my list, like you have your, what do you call it? You have your I meant deal breakers. I think like the more that you trust and know that you're obviously going to have that. Like if you have the desire for it, then it's for you. The desires aren't placed in your mind for nothing. Desires are placed in your mind because it is already a part of the plan. So you have this memory of something that is actually going to happen. So I already know that these things are going to happen. So then why am I going to spend my days desperate for it? What a waste of time. Like truly, if you know that you're going to have it, why would you care? You might have heard the theory of when you ask for like when you go to make a purchase on Amazon, you're not like stressing out, when is it coming? Has it gone onto the truck? Like when is it coming? What time is it arriving? Is it going to know my address? Da, da, da. It's already done. It's already done. You've asked for it. You have the desire. Why wouldn't it happen for you? Why wouldn't it? And in that process, you're letting go of the fear, letting go of this attachment, and you're building your self-worth and you're building who you are and what kind of person you want to be for that partner, right? Like you're just gonna stay a piece of shit and just think that you're gonna attract an amazing, incredible guy who's gonna be a certain way. It doesn't work that way. Like you have to be their dream girl too. So focus on yourself, focus on like building your self-worth. Like, do you feel even worthy to attract a certain kind of man? We will accept the kind of man that we believe that we're worthy of. Look at any of the men from your past, maybe when you weren't feeling 100% content in your life. What kind of guys were you attracting? Were they treating you good or were they treating you bad and you were just dealing with it? You don't want to have men like that anymore in your life. So then you're going to have to build up your self worth so that you can feel worthy for better men because you are worthy of them. It's just about you believing that you are and working on yourself and becoming a more higher vibe kind of individual. Number 4 is finding happiness within. Finding happiness within. So this was like a very, I hated this. I hated when people would say it to me. When I had, I don't know if I want to share my Italy journey because I kind of wanted to make like a whole other podcast about my trip in Italy. But when I went to Italy, when I got home from that trip, that's when I had realized I was like, holy shit, I found happiness within. Like people would always tell me that you have to find happiness within. And I'd be like, I am happy. Like, I am happy. Like, what do you mean? I'm so tired of being happy alone. I just want to be with a man. It's like I actually wasn't happy alone. Like I thought that I was, but I was just kind of like I don't know. I was just there. I was sad. I was like too focused on like being sad that I didn't have a man to be like happy within. Like the moment that I realized that I was happy within on my own was when I got back from the trip and I realized when I was experiencing all these like beautiful moments alone, like when I was on a ferry and looking out to the mountains and to the water, and I was surrounded by family, surrounded by love, like just the cutest moments everywhere. And I had no thought that, I wish I was here with someone. Like, oh, I wish my friends were here. I wish I had a man to share this with. I didn't have that thought one time. And that's when it clicked to me. I was like, holy shit. Like, when I got home and I realized it, I was like, whoa, you're telling me I was actually happy alone? Like I didn't have that thought. Of course, like it was going to be like beautiful to have those moments with someone else, but just didn't care about. I wasn't why am I thinking about that? I was so present in the moment, enjoying the experience that I had with myself. I just like enjoyed my own company. I think I had a really good time on my own, and I also shifted my mindset too to thinking that it's just around the corner. If I thought that I was going to meet someone, because it can happen any second you can meet your person. It can happen tomorrow. You can find your Prince Charming tomorrow. And if you were to meet your person tomorrow, that would mean that you would no longer be in this era of being single. Would you have done all the things that you wanted to do single? Like, are you going to be satisfied with being with one person the rest of your life? Honestly, it's kind of hard because like I feel like if I was asked this 5 years ago, I'd probably be like, yeah, because I didn't enjoy being single. But I found myself actually enjoying my solitude, my own space, creating my own path right now. And I think it's just very empowering for me. For me, creating the life for myself and then to be able to say that, to be able to like share that with now my future kids, like see how this all like ties in. It's like I never dropped the desire of wanting kids. I never dropped the desire of wanting a relationship and wanting a man, but it's actually been this has actually been a part of it where now because I'm learning all of this is amazing things that I'm going to be able to now teach to my kids, to have them learn to build your life for you. This life is meant for you, not anyone else. Once you have kids, your life is now about your kids and obviously providing an amazing life for them. But what about you? What is it that you want to do in your life? Focus on that. This is the only time that we have to ourselves, because once you're in a relationship, you now have to think about your partner and everything that you do. And you also do have help, which is obviously nice, but the empowerment that you feel from doing things by yourself, oh my goodness. And then to be able to be a role model, inspire other people to also do that and know that they can do it themselves. I know that that's what I want. I know that the person that I am, I want to do something on my own to prove to myself that I can do it so I can inspire other people to do it. If I had it all handed to me and I went from my dad taking care of me to another man taking care of me, I wouldn't have wanted that. Even though I thought that that's what I wanted it because that was the easiest route. But the harder route is actually the route that I want because I want to help other people in their own lives, be inspired, and know that they can do absolutely anything in whatever circumstance that they're in. So, those were my steps. And once I had found this happiness within and I was content within myself, I could now take that energy that I was using and focusing on men to now bring the focus and energy towards myself. And now I feel like I'm actually getting shit done in my life. I'm actually figuring out what I want to do, what Rachel wants to do in my career. I'm just doing it myself. I'm not waiting for someone else to give me a handout. I'm figuring it out every single day. I am so money focused. It's insane. I have the obsession that I've always had with men. Like I'm Scorpio, okay? I'm very passionate and I'm very obsessive. I get obsessive. Never in my life have I been this obsessed with money. Like, I'm obsessed with money. I wanted to learn to heal my money mindset, and I have learned so much. I've become so freaking obsessed. Like, to the morning that I wake up, to the morning my eyes close, even when I'm sleeping, I'm playing subconscious reprogramming to fix my money mindset. I am constantly consumed in healing my money mindset and getting everything that I want in my life. I can't wait to be able to come on here and do a podcast about that too, to be able to teach everything that I've learned about money mindset. Oh my God, I'm so excited. It makes me so happy that I have like gone to another part of my life that I'm excelling in. Like that's how I feel. I feel like I'm just like killing it. I'm like, okay, next subject, career, next subject, money. Oh, done with the guys. Like I've done that part, done this. Like I'm just like check. I'm like learning all these like things, you know? I'm like, like it's just gonna feel so good when I can finally be rewarded and I can finally focus on like being in a relationship and having kids. Like I want when I get to that stage in my life, I want to be so content with where I'm at in my career where I can actually just stop. I can actually just focus all my energy on that person and on my kids. Like I have so much that I want to do in my life now that I can't imagine having kids. I can't imagine. Like that sounds horrible. Obviously, I'm not like putting anyone down that has kids because obviously I know that it's the most beautiful, magical thing in the world. And like I can't wait for those experiences in that moment, 100%. But right now, where I'm at in life, I'm so selfish. It is all about me. And this in turn is obviously just helping me prepare for when it's time for me to have kids because I will teach them to be selfish and to focus on them and their lives before they actually take it all away by focusing on a man and focusing on building a family. When I was talking about trusting, when you fully have trust in what your path is and what your how your life is going to end up panning out, when you like trust your journey and you trust what is meant for you is just you already have it. There's nothing for you to do. It is just there. It brings you into like a neutral state. The more you focus on needing something, you're telling your brain that you don't have it. So you will continue to not have it because you are desperate for that thing. The universe doesn't know what you don't have and what you want. Whatever you're focusing on is what you're going to attract. So if you're focusing on not having something, you are going to continue to attract not having that thing. Instead, let go, get into a neutral state of knowing what is meant for you, what is coming for you. Actually, not what's coming for you, what is meant for you, what you already have in your life that is just going to happen when it is meant to, and just being completely neutral. You're happy with and without those things. Whenever it happens, but you are just content and stick in gratitude about where you're at, gratitude about your journey. This is one of the biggest lessons that I've gone through in my life thus far, letting go and decentering my life from men and bringing that focus onto me and my life. And I'm so grateful that I had gone this journey the hard way in order to learn the way that I was able to learn. and that I can share it here on this podcast. So I hope that this was helpful. I hope that wherever you're at in life that you continue to focus on you first and build that trust and knowing that what is meant for you is yours. There's no reason why you're not going to have that. Also, keep in mind that women have gotten pregnant in their 40s. So, okay, if you are meant to have children, you will have children. And if you're not meant to have it, then there's also a lesson in that. Everything is going to work out in the way that it's meant to work out. Just let go of the worry. Things are going to happen the way it's going to happen. There's no point in putting all this pressure, unnecessary pressure. Just live life for you, you know? Happiness literally comes from within. If literally me 5 years ago heard me saying things like that, like happiness comes from within, I'd be like, "Shut up. You don't know what you're talking about." But here we are. Here we are, happy as fuck, rich as fuck, rich in peace, rich in solitude. Now I can't even imagine having a man in my space. Like, imagine, like, it just feels cramped. Anyways, thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I love you guys so much. Please like, comment, share, do all the things, rate. Love you so much. And I will talk to you in the next podcast episode. Bye.